Hello, my darlings. Mother Raven here with a wonderful tale for you by KJLiegh, entitled The Empty Blue Light. Maria wheeled the mop and bucket across the floor to Shelby, vacuum cleaner in tow behind her. You mop, I vacuum. I like cleaning the theater. People drop money, she smiled. Nice, Shelby remarked. Maria, thanks again for this. I really needed this second job. Maria shrugged, stuck her earbuds in, and wandered off past the grotesque statues, swords, and cursed artwork on display in the Museum of the World's Most Dangerous Haunted Objects. Shelby had loved this place when she was a thrill-seeking preteen. Now she loved it for the money. No one else would clean it after hours, so she and Maria were well compensated. Maria's family was happy not to have to enter it for their rounds again, with Shelby picking it up now. Shelby wheeled the mop to the back of the museum and began mopping around the display cases in the tiled rooms. Old dolls, all deformed, watched intently as she worked. Shelby supposed they couldn't actually be haunted if they didn't look the part. Nothing about this museum looked cute, harmless, or even remotely normal. This place, fake or not, was all about atmosphere and selling the scary stories that sold tickets. Time went by, and Shelby was almost done with her section when she heard footsteps pounding towards her from the front. She panicked for a second until she saw it was Maria, running excitedly from the crimson-shaded theater area. Shelby, you'll never guess what I found, Maria yelled, as she emerged into the newly mopped floors at full speed. In her hands was a pair of obviously expensive designer sunglasses. Shelby laughed for a second, knowing her friend would seriously consider keeping them instead of turning them in to the lost and found. Then, a thud, as the sunglasses flew across the room as Maria's feet slid sideways underneath her, crashing into a display case and pushing her forcibly onto the ground. Blue glass shattered with a piercing crash as the wooden case toppled over. Dio mio, Shelby, Maria groaned, dark hair a mess and slightly wet on the ends. You've got to wring the mop out before you use it. But you shouldn't be running. You know I was mopping. Shelby laughed nervously, eyeing the broken glass and antique lantern sitting on the ground. Maria sighed, carefully standing up off the drenched tile floor. The broom is in the closet at the front. I'll get it. Shelby nodded, wondering how to tell the owner, and carefully made her way to the wreckage, noticing that she did indeed make the floors treacherously wet. She bent over the fallen display item, relieved to find it was in perfect condition. An old lantern made out of strong material and blue-tinted metal that made out its intricate designs, entwined lines and symbols, either for show or from a long time ago. She was relieved it suffered no damage, unlike the glass around it. She pulled the plaque off the ground, intending to see what curse she and Maria had inadvertently unleashed upon the world. Shelby? Yeah? Call 911! What? Shelby cried, surprised. She dropped the plaque and rushed to the front door to see the front door ajar. I locked this door behind us. Someone opened it somehow. I know I locked it, she choked. Maybe you didn't. It blows open when it's not locked. The design sucks, Shelby recalled, looking at the Gothic-styled but cheaply made dungeon-type front door. I know I did, Maria replied forcefully. Let's just clean up the mess first. I don't want to overreact, Shelby pleaded. It wouldn't be the first time Maria freaked out over her forgetfulness around locking doors. Maria frowned but relented. They made their way to the back room again to clean up the shards of glass. Maria's brow furrowed as she tried desperately to confirm mentally whether she had made a mistake or not with the door. Shelby bent over and pulled the wooden stand back upright, the lights in the back room flickering an ugly fluorescent blue, and Maria began sweeping the fragments into a pile. "What was in the display case?" Maria asked. "That old lantern thing," Shelby replied, straightening the stand back into place. "What lantern?" "Right here." Shelby pointed and then froze. "Cripes!" Maria dropped the broom and sprinted to the front, letting out an array of foreign curses. Shelby followed, confused and thinking. Had she moved it when she was looking at it earlier? Was it somewhere else? She saw it. She knew she saw it. "No, no, 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 no!" Maria cried. The door was open again, and Shelby saw a tall, male figure dressed in black, with long black hair, walking quickly away from the museum, lantern cradled in his pale hands. Of course it was an emo freak, Shelby thought. She pulled out her phone, hit the number she never thought she would actually call for a real emergency. Maria took off after the figure. "Maria, don't!" Shelby yelled. The figure looked back at Maria, seeming to smile for a second before turning and rushing down the street. 911, what is your emergency?" "There's been a robbery at the Haunted Objects Museum," she fumbled, not wanting to leave the building, yet also not wanting her friend off on her own. "We were cleaning it, and they broke in and took something. My friend is chasing him down the street," Shelby choked, too afraid to do anything, ashamed of her inaction. "Please stay put and wait for emergency responders to arrive." A tear slid down her face. Shelby finished cleaning the bathroom and saw Marco had just finished mopping. He eyed her quietly, but she knew he was worried about Maria. "She'll be okay," Shelby reassured him. "It's not a concussion. She was really brave and really lucky." "Father says she's empty," Marco said sadly. "Why would your dad say that?" she asked. "No, Father Gomez at the church. Mama took her after the hospital released her. Said she needed to be blessed after spending so much time at this place." Shelby shook her head. The atmosphere, dim lights, and decaying antiques were unsettling on a deeper level. But she wasn't sure it called for a divine intervention. "I'm surprised the owner let me keep working here," Shelby remarked, changing the subject from her friend. Maria had been distant all night. Marco shrugged. "He had no choice. No other cleaning company will do it." "You really believe this place is filled with evil spirits?" Even the owner laughed when the police called him last night. He told them half the stuff was fake and for show anyway. "But was that one fake?" Shelby shook her head. "Who knows?" Marco looked at the empty stand, the plaque sitting idly on top. And forcibly made his way over to it, as if acting strong would make it better, or read something less than a poorly developed horror story. "A fallen angel of death resides in this lantern, locked up by exorcists in ancient Rome. It is said to bring about the end of days and collect souls to keep from God within its lantern. Legend says it glows when the entity is actively collecting to lure in more victims with its empty blue light," Marco read. Setting the plaque down quietly, he shook his head and made the sign of the cross as he left the room. Shelby frowned. Empty blue light. It had to be made up. Everybody loves a good apocalypse story. "Shelby," a soft voice called. She jumped and looked. "Maria!" She smiled. "How are you?" Maria stared at her blankly. "This world is dirty." "You didn't have to clean the bathroom," Shelby said pointedly. smiling. Maria met her gaze to Shelby's dark brown eyes, distant, but still focused on her. "I have a friend for you." Shelby laughed nervously. "I told you to stop setting me up with your cousin. It's never going to happen." Maria just stared intently at Shelby, sizing her up, not moving. Are you okay, Maria?" Shelby asked. "Yeah," she responded. "German?" Shelby giggled anxiously, racking her brain to remember if Maria took German or French in high school. "I know all tongues," Maria answered ominously, turning to leave. But as she turned, her sleeve rolled up, and Shelby caught a glimpse of an intricate navy-colored tattoo of intertwining lines. She blinked, and it was gone with Maria into the dimly lit hallways of the museum, leaving Shelby behind, feeling frightened and confused by the imposter who looked so much like her friend. Shelby sleepily fumbled with her apartment keys when arriving home, well after 2 a.m. Her apartment door finally let out an ancient groan as she pushed it open. It stopped halfway through the doorway when she noticed a faint light on her counter and Maria's shoes in the doorway. She quietly pushed the shoes aside and stared, her mind foggy with sleep, but her heart pounding with anticipation. Intricate, old and glowing, a faint blue light. From the inside sat the stolen lantern. Fear crept into her movements, and she slowly pushed through the door and peered around the corner into her living room. On her sofa lay Maria, staring blankly at the ceiling, while a pale figure in a black shirt, black pants, and with long black hair ran his long, pale fingers through her deep brown hair. It looked up and locked eyes with Shelby and smiled, exposing rows of sharpened teeth between white lips. Shelby reeled backwards, trying to push her way out of her still open front door. Her hand grabbed the door frame and was yanked back by an arm, locking her in and pulling her into the chest of the monster.
Gracias TV,
It whispered in her ears.
Liberari, KJLiegh, apud, istum tempus.
"Please," Shelby choked out, feeling its cold breath on her neck and a pale finger reaching up and stroking the outside of her face gently, fingernails long and dragging along her skin.
Orbis est, sordidum necessi est et moritur ego protector tus sum tutam.
"Maria!" Shelby cried, but her friend did not respond, sitting still on the couch, staring blankly ahead. The creature spun Shelby around, pushing her door shut and her back against it, cold and endless blue eyes piercing into her.
Hoc mercam atim seret impedue tu con mihi.
It smiled, looming over her. She stared into the abyss of its eyes, and even as she recoiled in fear, a serene feeling washed over her. She stopped resisting and relaxed. It dragged its long finger onto her right arm, slowly, methodically, and pierced her skin. The pain registered to her, burning her from the inside, and she tried to recoil again. She struggled and pulled away, but to no avail. The light from the lantern was getting stronger, lighting up more of her apartment with an eerie glow. She cried out and tried to pry its fingers from her arm. A black ink-like substance spread out, forming a design like one of the patterns on the lamp. like Maria's tattoo. She looked up again, its teeth gleaming, its figure looming over her, immune to her pushing, clawing. And its eyes, she again found peace. Her arms went limp, and the pain moved to the back of her mind.
You are mine.
And she was. She felt secure. She belonged in this space. The world was awful, but this made sense. Her eyes glazed over, and the lantern illuminated the room with a bluish hue as she slipped into darkness, limp in its cold arms. So quoth this raven.